Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jen, the Caffeinated Crafter, and today will be a stitch with me. As you can see, this is the pattern I'm going to be working on today. It is a new start. Yay! Yay for the new starts. But I will be working on Let's Talk Stitching from Hands On Design. I'll be doing it on, what count is this? Like a 16 or 18 count black Ada. And my milestone for this is going to be doing the UFO, the needle and thread, the word chart, this floss section, these X's, and I'll go ahead and throw those in there too since they're right there. I'm not going to get the entire thing done during the stitch with me, but we'll just go ahead and see how much I can go ahead and get done while we're doing this. So, like I said, it is a new start. When I work off of a paper pattern like this, I use a little stitch counter that I picked up on Amazon. You can get them on, I think they're literally called tally counters, and you can get them on Amazon either as a single one or in a pack of 4. I got the 4-pack. To turn it on, you just hit the big button like that. That was from another project. To reset it to 0, you just press and hold the little button, and then to count the stitches, you do that. Sometimes I will kind of, because I stitch in hand right now. I used to use a Q-snap, but sometimes what I would do is when I have my fabric rolled up, I just kind of roll it up from the bottom or from the side, depending on how big the fabric is. But sometimes I will kind of hold it like this. I kind of developed a method for how I do it. And when I count, to make sure I remember when to count the stitch, when I go down for the last, like if it's a full cross, when I go down for the top leg, that's when I hit the button. If it's a half cross, I just do it on the down for the single half. Or if it's a section, something that's easy to count off, I'll go ahead and just wait until I get stitches in and just keep this off to the side, and then I just tap, 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 tap when I get it. Like this right here, I'll be doing that because it's like sectioned off into easy to count spots. So I won't be holding my tally counter for right now. When I get to the little, so like this stuff here is easy to count. But like when I get to these little boxes for the floss drops, I will be holding my counter and just tapping as I do it, because I'll forget where I am. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I just need 1 second to figure out. Okay, I was just making sure I knew where the center was. I'll be starting with a little needle and thread under the word chart. So, how is everybody doing today? I'm doing great. I actually ended up not filming this on the weekend. Today is actually Tuesday. Yeah, I think this is an 18 count because of how small these X's are. I'm going to go across first. If I can find the hole. It's not because it's black fabric, it's because I have my needle all like jammed in there. Is that even right? Hang on. I feel like there's like one little thread that's not where it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm good. I usually do not have an issue. I feel like that first stitch is a little tiny, but that's okay. It's the bottom leg. It doesn't matter to me. How many do I have to go over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where am I at? 9. Okay, 9. Oh, so today's actually Tuesday. I ended up getting out of work early because the weather is pretty gnarly today. They're closing schools early, but the boys are with their dad, so that is no concern to me. And because the weather, it was pretty windy when I left, and it's starting to rain, but we're kind of going under some tornado warnings over here and a lot of flooding, so they went ahead and just let us go. we only had 2 patients scheduled this afternoon to come in, and we called them both and had them come in early. So anyway, so I figured I would go ahead and get this knocked out of the way. So I had actually filmed a stitch with me yesterday, and then I was going to upload it and just schedule it to play this weekend like I'm going to with this one, but then I realized that my phone had recorded it in portrait mode instead of landscape mode, so it was gonna come out like all sideways, and I didn't like that. So I said, forget it, I'll redo it. It's just a stitch with me. And I was just talking about food anyway. So it's not like it really was anything of importance. Brand new start, and I already see cat hair on the fabric. Freaking Gracie. Her hair is everywhere. Mr. Whiskers too. They both shed. Alright. Making sure I just do the right amount for this little needle here. So, anywho, I was trying to figure out what to talk about. That's why yesterday I was talking about food. And then I saw a comment from someone, and for the life of me, I cannot remember your name, so I apologize. But they had suggested talking about how I set my milestones for and my goals for my projects, because they were interested in incorporating that into their crafty stuff, like their knitting and the crocheting and whatnot. So I figured I could talk about that. So everybody's end goals for these projects is always to finish them, right? I mean, like, you don't start something and be like, you know, I really just want to do half of this project. That's all I want to do. No, you want to finish it. But you get to a point, at least for me, where you're like, okay, I don't really want to look at this project anymore right now. I'm kind of done with it. And that's why I jump from project to project. Look at that cute little needle. Isn't that precious? Let me move it over so you can actually see. My bad. Look at that cute little needle. But that's why I jump from project to project, because I get bored with said projects, and I have a bad habit of starting them and then moving on to the next one and not going back to finish the project that I left behind, right? So what I did was I took a look at the project, because I realized I need to set limits. I need to set some boundaries for myself. That's going to be the best way. What color do I need for this? 733. That's going to be the best way to get through these without forgetting about them, but also to make sure that I keep going back to them. So I just kind of looked at a piece and I broke it down, and I didn't necessarily break it down at this point to finish it off, just, you know, for potential whatever for the next year or so. And then I'm probably honestly gonna revamp it so that all of them have milestones with an end goal of finishing, if this ends up working out for me. So like this project, for example, I took a look at it, and I just broke, because it's like a bunch of words and stuff, and I just broke it down into sections that I thought that I could easily do within 1 to 2 stitching sessions. And I was like, all right, I think I could do this section within 1 to 2 nights, this section within 1 to 2 nights, you know what I mean? And I mean, that's really all I did. There's nothing like fancy about it. My bigger projects, like my my full coverages. Okay. It felt like there was like extra thread under there, like there was a knot. My bigger projects, like my full coverages, I would, let me back up with the talking, not with the stitching. So in a way, I set goals to be done within a year. But I know that the goals won't all get hit this year. This is more of like the big picture, looking at this stuff. And like I had said before, if I hit an actual goal that's not a finish, then the project really does need to go away, because a lot of these have anywhere from 6 to 8 milestones set, and they don't even have a finish. Like this project does have a finish, but the other one, a lot of them don't. And this was a short thread. I should have gotten a longer one because I'm like running out already. So what I think, we'll see how it plays out, because we're still in the beginning of January. I'm not struggling because of the dark fabric. I'm struggling because of the single, like, sometimes, you know, when you're stitching on 80, you get like one single thread that's like out of place. That's what that was. I was trying to get on the other side of it. But we'll see. It's only the beginning of January. I'm hitting milestones like crazy. Like, I'm doing really good. You know what I'm not doing good at? Keeping this in the center of the phone. Blast. But I may what I might do is, sorry, pull this up so I can lick the floss and rethread my needle. But what I might do is maybe when I'm doing kind of like a reset to take another look at everything at the end of the year, is I might go ahead and just do an end goal for stuff, but still have like a set milestone where it's like, okay, if I get it to this point, then I do need to set it aside for a period of time. So that I'm not pulling the same projects over and over and over again. But I mean, don't overthink it, is what I'm trying to say. When you're setting your, if this is something that you want to try out, because it's obviously working for me, because I got so much done last year. One of my subscribers who's been following me for a while now, she said that she did the math. Marianne, I think, was it you, Marianne? And I had hit 89% of my goals last year, which is a lot, I think. We'll just use that to end the thread right there. And I mean, already so far this year, and I'm counting the end of last year as part of this year with my stitching, because that week between Christmas and New Year's, it just, nobody knows what to do. If that makes any kind of, like, nobody knows what to do. Like, is it still 2023? Are we in 2024 yet? Am I still supposed to be eating all the cookies and the cakes and all that jazz? Should I start New Year plans already? Like, what do I do? But if this is something that you want to try out for yourself, by all means go for it, because it obviously works. But don't overthink it. Don't make it complicated. Just look at a piece. And if it's something that you want to try, like having a rotation, think about how many projects you have and what you want your rotation to be. Like, do you want to touch all of your projects? Like I did last year. I was able to actually stitch on every single whip that I owned last year. That won't be the case in 2025 because I will have many, many more. But last year I had 139 and I was able to stitch on every single one of them because, yes, some of my projects had ridiculous goals, but a lot of them had very reasonable goals that I was able to stitch on for a day and hit that goal, and I got a little bit of progress on it. So is it something that you want to be able to touch every single one of your projects? If you do, how many do you have? And be realistic about what you can stitch in a day. I am a pretty fast stitcher, as you can see. And I know what I can and can't do. Like, I know that on a weeknight, is that it? Yeah. I know that on a weeknight when I have my kids, I can average about 500 stitches in a night. And again, that also depends on the type of project it is. Something like this, I could get a lot of stitches. I was like, where's my needle minder? Something like this, I could get a lot of stitches in. Something that has a lot of confetti, like one of my full coverages, yeah, it's going to be a bit slower and it's going to take me longer. Oh, 1 second, let me do my little counter. Hang on 1 second. Okay. So if you average 500 stitches a night, then make that a goal or a milestone for you for a project. If you stitch 100 stitches, then maybe just kind of double that and make it 200 so you work on it for a few days. Just whatever works for your stitching style and how often you stitch. And I mean, you know, you can even do what I do. You don't have to have like a floss tube channel to do that. You can just draw the basket or use a spinner, like a wheel. I personally don't like the wheel because if I don't want to work on that project, then I'll be like, next. Damn it. There we go. I keep moving over. My bad. I personally like the basket because I feel like it's more concrete and it's like, I can't just be like, oh, nope, never mind. Let's hit that button again. Whoopsies. If it's something where you do want to work towards getting finishes and you have, if you have projects that you absolutely do want to get finished, but you want to still be able to rotate, then do something like this, where you have milestones and goals set, but you don't want to work on as many projects. Then maybe have, like, say you have 20 projects, right? And of course, everybody wants to finish them in the end, but it's not you have, say you have your 20 projects and you set stopping points for them, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to put in like 300, that's 300 stitches on this, and then I want to put it down. Or say you want to set larger goals. Say you're like, okay, well, I have 20 projects that I'm going to end up wanting to finish, but I want to set larger goals because I want to work on them a little bit more. That's fine too. You do whatever you want to do. It's your stitching. But say, like, what you could do is, like, say you have a full coverages that you want to get some progress on, and you know how long it'll take you to stitch a few thousand stitches. You could be like, all right, I'm gonna have like 5 projects in my active bag, and they say you have 20 projects, but you don't want to work on all 20. You don't want to rotate through all 20 until you get progress on certain ones. Have those in like an active bag, right? Work on those until you get one of those goals done. Pull that out and just replace it with the next one if you want to do it that way. I tried that last year in a way. I had some projects that I wanted to get lots of stitches on, and they were like they stayed active all year, and I didn't do it because I was like, I wanted to get day to night Iceland to 12% by the end of the year, and I started at like less than 1%. I started at 0.16%. You know what I ended the year with? Like 3%. I did not do it. So I learned that, and then catching rays, I wanted to do 30,000 stitches on it. I only did like 11,000, I think. Yeah, I did 11,000. Like, I did not hit those big goals at all. What I think is going to be different about this year with Honeymoon Sunset and the Hade Sal is, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What I think is going to be different with these two projects is why I think I'll be able to hit these goals as opposed to the other ones is I have them broken down into set milestones that I want to hit per week. Hang on, I gotta let this floss dangle. Like my blanket, my little winter blanket. Sister gave it to me for Christmas. And Honeymoon Sunset is only going to be for half the year. 25 weeks. So pretty much half the year. The Hade Sal is all year, but it's only 1,200 stitches a week, and it's 1,200 like half crosses. It's not even like a full cross. So I think so far so good. I've already done my Hade Sal stitches for the week. I did those last night. And I will do my Honeymoon Sunset ones tomorrow. And then next week I'll have to do both of those again. And I'm thinking for when I kind of do a reset at the end of the year and revamp my stuff, if you hear a knocking sound, that's my ice maker. I think when I revamp and reset my stuff at the end of the year, what I might do is just plug in my full coverages and see how long it would take me to, how many stitches I would need to do per week to finish it in, say, like 5 years, right? Except for catching rays, that one would be 10 years because that's 1,000,000 stitches. But see how many stitches I would have to do to finish it in 5 years, and just use that as like and then multiply it like to get like, I don't know. What am I trying to say? Kind of use that as a jumping off point and then either increase or decrease the stitches depending on how many it was. And of course I wouldn't plan on getting all those full coverages done in 5 years, but some of them are like super tiny. And if this 25K in 25 weeks works for me, I wouldn't necessarily do another 25K in 25 weeks for the second half of the year, but what I might do is maybe do like 10K in 10 weeks and pick a project, another project to do 1,000 stitches a week for 10 weeks, and then maybe just start kind of rotating through that kind of thing. What am I going to do here? What do I want to do with this? I think what I'll do is I'm going to go down. I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do these stitches so I'm not like traveling all over the place. I feel like I'm not making any kind of sense. I feel like I'm confusing you even more. But like regarding projects like this, I just broke them down into chunks. I just looked at it instead of like I have no idea how many stitches this is that I'm going to be doing. I have no clue. I know that I'm not going to get it all done during this stitch with me, but I just know that I'm not going to do it all during this stitch with me. But I have no idea how many stitches this is going to be. I just looked at it and was like realistic about what I thought I could get completed within 1 to 2 nights of stitching. And broke it down like that. And that's what I did with all of my projects. There was no real like rhyme or reason. That's why I have so many finishes listed. Like I know I'm not going to finish all of these, but that's what I'd like to do if I had less projects is that I would end up finishing this stuff. And then my full coverages, I was just like, I just want to see if I can get it to this % this year. And you just have to find what works for you regarding your rotation and how you pick a project to work on. Like, I don't know what possessed me to try this out last year the way that I did it, with pulling from a basket and setting goals for them. I have no idea what possessed me to do that, but I'm so glad I did because I found what works for me and what keeps me going with these projects. Because I tell you right now, even something as cute as this, I'll put it down and I'll walk away from it and then I won't touch it again for like a year or more. Because I'll start working on it and they'll be like, all right, I'm getting bored with this. I need to move on to something else. And then I never go back to it. But breaking it down like this, it gives me a stopping point to set it down and walk away from it before I get too bored with it. And then having it in a basket like this, where it's like, then I pick up where I left off, I'll come back to it and I'll be excited to work on it again. Ow, I hit my hand. Did that in my floss tube too. I hit my hand. But yeah, this seems to really work out for me. And if you want to do a basket, do a basket. Pick from the basket. You don't have to pick as many as I do. I mean, there are definitely people out there that have as many, if not more, projects than me. Like, I am not saying at all that I have the most projects ever. But I know that there are not many that have as many projects as me. So, and some of my milestones are like super small. Like that 266 that you saw at the very beginning on my little tally counter. I hit a milestone at 266, so I stopped. It was my little gnome that I had to backstitch, and he was super cute. And I had that just as the milestone because I know how much I hate backstitching, and I was like, I'm gonna be tired of this project by the time I'm done. But he only took me like an hour and a half to do, and then I was done with them. So I set him aside, and then him and his little friends will go back in the basket so I can move on to the next part, which will be to cross stitch, I think, the Grinch, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, if you want to do a basket, do a basket. If you want to do a wheel, then do a wheel. It's whatever you feel like doing. You may do the basket and be like, you know what, this doesn't work for me. I don't like it. That's okay. You may do the wheel and find you don't like it. I tried the wheel. I didn't like it. And that's okay too. You may be someone who wants to have everything on a spreadsheet and you just are very like, you go through it very methodically and you're like, okay, I'm going to work on this. And when this is done, I'm going to work on this. And that is okay too. You just have to find what works. And then again, regarding the goal setting and the milestones, you can do it like me and have these milestones with these huge goals set. Or if you just want to be able to touch your projects, get a feel for them again and see what you want to work on and what you want to get rid of. That's what I did last year. Set smaller milestones for them. Maybe only, be like, all right, well, I just kind of my brain started running. I think first what you need to do is figure out what your end game is. Like, not, I want to finish all my projects, like, not that. I mean, like, what is your main thing right now? Do you want to just touch all your projects, but you kind of go through a decision fatigue that you don't know what you want to do or what you want to work on? Or like, so do you just want to be able to touch all of your projects? Or do you have specific projects that you want to get done, but you just can't bring yourself to work on them? Or is it that you want to focus on getting other stuff done, but you want to stitch on, like, you're like, oh, I really want to get this one project done, but I have all these other projects that I would like to work on too. Let me let this thread dangle. So figure out what your end game is for a period of time, not forever, because your shit's going to change. Like, your thought processes are going to change as time goes on. So say you just want to touch all your projects. You're like, well, I really just want to work on them for a bit just to kind of feel if I want to continue them or get rid of them. Because you can't always tell by just looking at the project if it's something that you're going to want to hang on to or not. Because when I did my whip parade at the end of 2022, I thought I wanted to keep every single project. And there was 3 projects, like I've talked about before, that when I went to go work on them, I'm like, nope, not digging it. This is why I set it down before to begin with. And like I said in, I think, my floss tube, only one of them is a full UFO. Like, I will never stitch that pattern ever. Excuse me. The other 2, I liked the pattern. I did not like the fabric. So I was like, you know what? I'll just restart these. on different fabric. So they are waiting in the wings, they're waiting on the sidelines to come out to play. So for 2023, my end goal was to touch all of my projects. And so some of them I did have bigger goals set for them, but for the most part, they were small goals, just so I could get some stitches in on them and determine if I actually wanted to keep working on them. This year, there was kind of like no real rhyme or reason to what I was doing, except the fact that I wanted to be able to work on my projects more than once a year. So I liked the goal setting that I did last year, and I loved the basket that I did because it made my life so much easier. I was able to give myself options to work on stuff by pulling out more than what I could possibly work on in 2 weeks. And I got a stopping point for them, so I wouldn't just, that way if I was starting to get tired of a project, I'm like, okay, if I just get to this, then it's okay if I stop, because that's my goal. Isn't that UFO cute? That's adorbs. Look at that. And it's like, because it's okay to have those projects too, like the projects where you're like, you want to get it done, but when you work on it, you're like, oh God, that's okay. Like I have projects where I'm like, I don't really enjoy working on them, but I like the end result, so I want to keep going on it. All right, time to count the UFOs, stitches. Okay. What am I at? 110 already. So if your end game is just to touch all your projects, then I would suggest just you don't even necessarily have to look at the project to figure out, like, if you just want to touch them to determine if you want to keep working on them or not, then just say, okay, I'm going to do however many stitches that's not right. However many stitches that you can do on an average night. Don't make it too hard for yourself. If you're okay with switching projects up every night, or you could say, if you don't really count your stitches and you work on them for a certain number of days, you could be like, okay, I want to give this project 2 days. I want to give this project 1 day. You could just say however many days you want to work on it. So you don't necessarily have to have different, you don't even necessarily have to have different goals or milestones or what have you set for every project. If you don't count, like I count my stitches because of my games, and also because you guys like to hear how many stitches I did. I also like to know too. But if you just stitch by day and you don't count your stitches, then how many days do you want to work on the project? Do you just want to do 1 day and move on? Do you want to give it a couple days and move on? And just, if that's how you do it, be like, I want to give every project X amount of stitches or X amount of days, and then just start rotating through them. And if you don't like the project, get rid of it. If it doesn't make you happy, then just get rid of it. Just be done with it. It's okay to put something aside and walk away. And one other thing that I do not do, I just saw a cat hair float down. One other thing that I do not do is I do not purposely make something for someone. Like I have one piece that I was like, oh, I'll probably give this to my sister, but she doesn't know I'm going to give it to her. So if I don't give it to her, it's not a big deal. And this is just me, because I feel like the work that I put into a piece is not necessarily appreciated by people who do not stitch. 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, perfect. I had, so I have this one project that's like a quilt, right? The baby blanket. I had done a second one a long time ago, and it wasn't for anybody. It was just something to do. And my mom, my brother's fiance, she got pregnant. And my mom was like, oh, you had that quilt. What if we give it to her? I'll finish it off. I'll put a backing on it, because I stitched through both layers of the blanket because I wasn't about to take all that time to kind of just work underneath one layer. She said, I'll put a backing on it and we'll give it to her as a baby shower gift. And I was like, all right, that works. Gets it out of my hair, and it's a cute blanket. And it turned out super cute. I think she got rid of it not long after we gave it to her. She didn't look very appreciative when she opened it, and she said thank you, but she was just kind of like, oh, thanks. And never saw hide or hair of it again. So I don't know if it ever got used. She probably gave it away or sold it. I don't know. And I mean, frankly, I really don't care. I mean, it's not like I'm like poured my heart and soul into this blanket for my niece. And but some people do that. Some people like obsess over making this stuff for friends or family members or their kids' teachers, and they're like, oh my God, they don't like it. And I'm like, I'm not about that life. I stitch for the fun of it. I don't want to kill myself making gifts for people when they're not even going to be appreciated, if that makes any kind of sense. And if you enjoy doing that, again, that's okay. But I don't let that. What am I trying to say? I don't do it because I don't like to do it. I'm not going to stitch on something that I don't enjoy for someone else, and then they're not even going to appreciate it. I don't like doing commissioned pieces either. One of my old coworkers had sent me a screenshot. You know that one on Facebook that's been floating around of that woman cross-stitching on the airplane, and she's cross-stitching eat a bag of dicks. That picture that's been floating around on the cross-stitching groups, it'll resurface like every so often, right? Well, she saw it somehow, and she took a screenshot and she sent it to me, and she was like, LOL, can you make this for me? And I went and looked, and I did find a pattern. She was like, I'll pay you for it. I'm like, yeah, but even charging a penny a stitch for a basic pattern, would you really pay me that much money? Even if I didn't charge you for the materials? Like, I don't know. Anyway, back to the milestones and goals. If there's a project that you absolutely are dead set on finishing, but you just can't bring yourself to finish it, or you have the problem if you want to finish it, but you feel guilty because your other whips are kind of going by the wayside. If you know how many stitches it's going to be, then break it down into, like, if you know that like a piece is going to be, I don't know, 4,000 stitches to finish, or even 10,000. Let's just say 10,000. No, let's say 12. That way I can math in my head. Let's say you have a piece that's going to be 12,000 stitches to finish. Break it down into 12 months. Be like, all right, let me give myself a year to finish this. And that would be 1,000 stitches a month. That's doable. Or if you wanted it in less time, then of course you'd have to increase the stitches. If you don't know the stitch count, like if it's a leaflet or a paper pattern or what have you, then just break it down by section. Be like, okay, let's try to get this section done this month. And then work on that first. And then once you get that done, go do your other stuff. And then when the first of the month rolls around of the next month, then all right, let me pick up this pattern. Let me get my stuff done. And you could try it that way. But you just, and you know, if it's like knitting or crochet, I don't knit or crochet, so it's like, it's harder for me to kind of explain how to set milestones and goals for those types of projects. Like, I don't know, you guys work in like rows and stuff, right? So how long does it take you to do a row? And how long do you crochet for in a session? Like, kind of do that. Or if you want to do more, be like, all right, well, I want to do like 10 rows on this, and then I'll set it down and move on to the next project. Is that right? Yeah, okay. All right. Feels like it's like very squat. It's right, okay. So I think what I'm going to do next year is look at what I could and couldn't finish. Projects like this, like if I don't finish, because I have all of these Let's Talk stitching, which I'm working on right now, but I also have all of the seasons, right? And if I don't finish them all, they're all still divided up into sections that are easily doable, and I'll just leave them like that. But I think my full coverages, I'll kind of revamp the percentages that I'm going to work towards. And I was actually thinking about maybe making my stockings that I'm doing for my boys, maybe making those into, seeing how long it would take me to finish them off, like how many stitches I have left. I gotta end this thread, this is driving me crazy. See how long it would take me to finish them off, and maybe make those two like focus pieces to be finishes next year. So I think for this year I had said that I wanted to do like, I don't know, 20,000 stitches each on them, but I don't know if I'm going to get to them or not. We'll have to see how everything goes. So one's at 20%, one's at 25%. But if I can get this hate cell done in a year, then I know that I could easily do 61,000 stitches tent stitches, so 30,000 stitches. So I could have gotten my Catching Rays goal done last year if I'd really set my mind to it. I could have done that. I also probably could have gotten California Dreaming up to 25% if I had really set my mind to it. But alas, I didn't. So we'll have to just see how this goes. Play it by ear. See what works, what doesn't work. And we'll go from there. And I feel like everything I said, nothing made sense. I feel like I just talked a lot and didn't say anything really at all. But if this intrigues you, what I'm doing, not this pattern, but what I'm doing with my stuff, try it out. Like I said, just start small though. Like don't dive in with both feet, because you might overwhelm yourself. But just start small. Judy in Aussie in the Kiwi World, on FlossTube, she's doing that too. She liked what I was doing, and she set some goals for herself on her projects. And we're in a group chat together, and she's been posting when she hits a goal. She's been posting it in our group chat. It's super exciting to see, because then when she hits her goal, she's like, okay, moving on to the next one. That's kind of the key, is if you're just going to keep working past the goal, then either you need to set higher goals for yourself, or you just don't need to do this. Like the point of the goals is to put it down and walk away once you hit your goals. Even if you don't want to, even if you're like, man, I'm really enjoying this chart, I want to keep going on it, then you either need to set a higher goal, or you need to just not set goals and just work on whatever you want. But this is kind of, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like doing WIPGO. A lot of people are doing WIPGO. I even tried doing WIPGO, and I don't know why, because I feel like this is almost like the same thing, where I draw projects out and then I have goals set for them, and then I work on them until the goals are met. It's the same damn thing as WIPGO, but for some reason, WIPGO just did not work for me. I do not know why. Maybe I was picking projects I didn't really want to work on. I have no clue. But yeah, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get these finishes that I keep saying that I want to get done. I mean, granted, it's only the beginning of the year right now. So I'm probably going to be slow with the finishes in the beginning, of course, because I only have a couple projects that are close to being done. And then I might be able to ramp it up towards the middle of the year. I don't know, we'll see. But I also have a shit ton of projects to work on too. And a lot of them, I mean, almost like, I'd say, if you divide it up into thirds, like 2/3 of them are new starts. I think a lot of those new starts I said I wanted to finish. But including this piece right here. I should probably work up the A, because I can't really tell what I'm doing. I don't feel like counting across, so let me go up. Yeah. trying to think of what else I want to say about that stuff. I know it's hard. This damn cat hair on this black fabric is driving me batty. I'll tell you that much. I keep going off to the side. My bad. Yeah, this cat hair is driving me crazy. But it's like I keep getting questions on how I set my goals, and it's like I don't. It's hard because I really don't have a method. I just looked at a project and I was like, I want to do this. Like there was no rhyme or reason to what I had said. There really wasn't. I just looked at a piece like this one here. I'm like, I want to finish it. Ignoring the fact that I had so many other pieces. I'm like, I want to finish it. Yeah. And then I just broke it down into sections that I'm like, I could get this done in like 2 nights. We'll see how much of this I can get done tonight. I think I'll be able to get a good portion of it done. I might even just go ahead and finish it off the next day. Oh my God, I work on a project for 2 days. What I've been thinking about doing is getting some of these bigger ones that are like 1,000 stitches and doing half of it. And then maybe like the last few days of the week, I'll go back to the projects and finish them off. I don't know. Or just leave it and just do half, then throw it back in the basket to be drawn again to do the other half at another time. What I want to avoid is leaving milestones to be done with only like 100 stitches left or something like that, because I did that a few times last year. And when I pulled it when I put it back in the basket, I'm like, yeah, there's just 100 stitches left. I'll get that done in like an hour. And then when I pulled it out, I would look and be like, 100 stitches left. Why did I do that? Why didn't I just finish it? I don't think I have anything else really to talk about. I don't. What's my time? 58 minutes. Well, I think we're at a good stopping point for you anyway. I'm going to keep going. It's going to end the thread. It's not enough that's worth me trying to squeeze more stitches in with this thread, because I'm going to be starting a whole new letter next to it. But yeah, so was all that clear as mud? Did all that not make sense for you? Good. All right, so there's that. Let me count these stitches here real quick before I forget. $176. Okay. Well, anyway, I hope that what I said made a little bit of sense. If it helped you, that's wonderful. If you have more questions, please ask me, because this really works for me, this method, and I'm super excited about it. And if it works for you, but you just have questions about how I do stuff, by all means ask. But what I will say is I really truly have no rhyme or reason to setting my goals and milestones. It's just something that I just looked at the project and I'm like, what do I want to do? I want to do this. There was no method to my madness. There really wasn't. The only thing I had was I wanted to be realistic, like how I had the bigger goals and then I had the milestones. The milestones themselves, I'm like, okay, what could I potentially get done within 1 to 2 days of stitching? And that's what it was. That's really all there was to it. Other than that, those huge goals that I have where I'm like, I want to do 10,000, that was just to have milestones on there and so that it wouldn't just be worked on once or twice. I mean, that's really all there was to it. The milestones I had set, what could I do within 1 to 2 nights of stitching for the most part. But the actual goals, I'm like, I went a little crazy on those, like with the amounts that I wanted to do. But we'll just kind of continue this process throughout the year. Like I said, we'll see what works and what doesn't work, and I will change it up and revamp it to be even better for 2025. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. And if you have anything in particular you want me to talk about in the next stitch with me, then by all means, let me know. And that's about it. So take care, happy stitching, get a lot of stitches in, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.